Hello, welcome and thank you for joining us today for the next webinar in our What's New series. In today's webinar, we'll cover some of the newest features in Microsoft 365 that you can implement in your business, as well as taking a look at some of the features that are coming up later this year that give us a bit of an insight into the future. Don't feel like you need to make notes or take it all in straight away, as we'll be sending out a recording and a follow-up fact sheet later today. Also, if you have any questions, please do feel free to drop those into the Q&A box at the side at any time. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those as we go along and answer anything relevant alongside the content, but there will also be dedicated time for questions at the end of the webinar. Okay, let's take a look at the agenda for today. In today's webinar, we'll be looking at the fact that Copilot is now available for everyone. So we'll take a look at some of the features that we've presented over the last year or so, now that you can get hold of it, plus a reminder of how some of the features will work across those Microsoft apps that you're already using. We'll also then be looking at the new offline mode for OneDrive. Then we'll be looking at a new Teams feature, which allows you to forward chat messages. Next up will be easily reach groups of people with a new update to tags in Teams. And finally, we'll be looking at what happens if you want to find out what happens in a Teams meeting without actually having to sit through it. Coming soon to Outlook, there is a new follow RSVP option. Finally, there will be a section on what's next for this webinar series, next month's date, and also what you can do if you want to start implementing some of these features in your organisation. So, a quick welcome and introduction for those of you who may not have met us before. My name's Jennifer Benge and I am the marketing lead at Bedrock. Bedrock is an IT managed service provider and Microsoft solutions partner for modern work. This means that most of the IT we implement is based on the Microsoft stack. So that includes things like Microsoft 365, Teams, Azure, SharePoint, etc. We're also experts in secure, resilient networks and managed IT solutions where high performance is critical. So that means that we work with organisations that have some of the highest security requirements in the UK. We manage mission critical IT and operational technology for highly regulated organisations. The most important thing we want to achieve, no matter what your organisation does, is to make sure that your IT strategy is supporting your business strategy as a whole. And we do that with the help of our 8 rocks that you can see on the screen here. So these rocks are data, skills, backup, strategy, investment, security, quality of service, and collaboration. The collaboration rock is the focus of this particular webinar series, as many people who are joining us or that we speak to on a day-to-day basis have invested time and money into procuring these Microsoft solutions, but aren't always necessarily getting the most out of them. They are collaboration tools at their heart, and the more efficiently you can use them, the more you're going to get value out of that investment. So that's what this series was set up to do, just to make sure that you're aware of all the features that are becoming available to you in those apps that you already have invested into. So let's take a look at the first item on our agenda for today. I know this is going to be a really big deal for a lot of you, because a lot of people have been asking me over the past year or so, how do I get hold of Pilot? When can I get hold of Copilot? And how much is it going to cost me? So hopefully I'm going to be able to answer some of those questions for you here. We first started talking about Copilot in April last year, and we've had regular updates since then about the features that it will include and how it will look. In November, Copilot was officially launched, but it was only available to Microsoft enterprise customers with over 300 users. At the end of January, this changed and Copilot is now officially available for everyone. You will still need an add-on license on top of your normal Microsoft 365 licensing, and this is now available in 3 subscription types. So number 1, there is the continuation of the large-scale licensing for enterprise organisations. So the one that was already available from November, that will continue. There's a new Copilot Pro subscription for individuals. And there is also an expanded Copilot for Microsoft 365 availability, which will include small and medium-sized businesses, meaning that there is now no seat minimum for commercial plans. So whereas you used to have over 300 users, there's now no minimum, and you can use Copilot licensing no matter how big your organisation is. There is also a very basic free version for individuals, but if you wanted to use any of the features that we've looked at within the Microsoft apps, you'll need a paid license. Pricing for organisations remains the same as it was during the November launch, so that's $30 per user per month. And this is the same whether you're part of an enterprise, large organisation, or an SME. Anyone with an existing Microsoft 365, Office 365, E3 or E5 license will be able to purchase the Copilot add-on. So that's a little quick overview over how you can get it, how much it might cost you. But now let's do a quick review over some of those features that are included within Copilot that we've looked at over the past year. So Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word. So the whole point of Copilot is that it will be integrated into the apps that you already use every day. It's not a completely separate thing that you'll have to use and then copy paste across into Word, for example. It will be right there embedded into Word itself. The idea is that it will take away some of the more boring admin type tasks off your plate and give you a bit more time back to do the things you actually enjoy doing. Copilot in Word, which you can see an example of in the screen here, writes, edits, summarises and creates content right alongside what you're already doing. So with only a brief prompt, Copilot in Word will be able to create a first draft for you, and it will be able to do that by bringing in information from across your organisation as needed. And it will also be able to add content to existing documents, summarise text and rewrite sections or the entire document to make it more concise. You can even get suggested tones of voice to help you get the finished product you're after. So if you've written something that perhaps sounds a bit too casual, you can ask Copilot to make it a bit more formal, for example. Copilot can also help you improve your writing with suggestions that strengthen your arguments or smooth out inconsistencies. Next up, one of the features that we looked at over the past year was how Copilot would work in Excel. So within Excel, Copilot works alongside you to help you analyse and explore your data. You can ask Copilot questions about your data set in natural language, not just formulas. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't actually memorise all of those formulas off by heart, you know what you want the end result to be. You kind of know that Excel is capable of doing that for you, but you're not sure what the formula should be. You'll just be able to ask Copilot in natural language what you want it to do and what you're trying to achieve. It will reveal correlations, propose what-if scenarios, and suggest new formulas based on your questions, generating models based on questions that you have asked it to explore your data, but without modifying it. You'll also be able to identify trends, create powerful visualizations, or ask for recommendations to drive different outcomes. So overall, it's just helping you use the data that you've already got there and explore it in the most effective way. Copilot in Outlook works with you in your inbox and messages so that you can spend less time on email triage and more time on actually communicating with people. So you'll be able to summarise lengthy, convoluted email threads that maybe involve multiple people, and you'll be able to understand not only what's been said, but the different viewpoints of each person and the open questions that they have yet to be answered. So some of you may have noticed that Outlook has started doing a bit of this anyway, just the normal version of Outlook, where it will prompt you to respond to questions that it doesn't think have been answered yet. This is kind of a more in-depth version of that, where you'll be able to get a full summary of a whole email chain and just bullet points of reminders of things that need to be done, actions that need to be followed up. You'll also be able to respond to an existing email with a simple prompt or turn quick notes into professional messages, pulling from other emails or content that you've already access to across Microsoft 365. You also then, similar to the Word Copilot, you'll be able to shorten or lengthen your responses as required. Next up is how it will look in PowerPoint. So a key feature for Copilot in PowerPoint is that it will help you get started on a presentation much quicker than you can do currently. Sometimes that's the hardest bit of getting started on new presentation, new document, is that you look at that blank page and you just don't know where to begin. So with Copilot, you'll be able to give it a document or a topic to get started on, and it will create a whole draft presentation for you. Obviously, it's highly unlikely that that draft presentation will be immediately perfect and exactly how you want it to be, but at least it takes away that kind of writer's block stage and allows you a draft to get started with. So to do this, Copilot can transform existing written documents into decks, complete with speaker notes and sources, or it can start the presentation from a simple prompt or outline. There's also a summarize feature that will condense lengthy presentations at the click of a button. So that's useful if perhaps you know you're going to be presenting this presentation and you have a short time limit and you know that the number of slides you have are just going to take you over that time limit. So Copilot will be able to make that presentation more concise for you without losing any of the key material. You can also use natural language commands to adjust layouts and reformat text. For example, just making sure that all your company branding is uniform throughout the deck. So again, those simple things that really do make a big difference when you're viewing a presentation, that Copilot will just be able to help you smooth those things out. In Teams, Copilot will be able to help you visualize spoken discussion points and organize them in a whiteboard while you're talking. So it will help you turn meeting participants' spoken ideas and topics into a visual collaboration space in Whiteboard, shared across all meeting participants. If you're running out of ideas, you can also use Copilot to suggest more based on what meeting participants have already said. So as you can see in this example on the screen, that Copilot takes a list of bullet points, ideas that have been summarized, and it then displays them visually in a whiteboard during the meeting. So sometimes, you know, if you've sat around, especially in an online meeting, sometimes it's kind of hard to get those ideas out there. This would just give you something visual that you can then work off, continue to add more ideas to. And the other update that's coming to Copilot in Teams is that it will be able to take notes in real time and share those across all meeting participants. So collaborative notes are loop components which stay in sync across all the places that they've been shared. So if that's enabled before the meeting, Copilot will automatically take live notes within the meeting notes section so attendees can focus on the discussion. These notes will then be shared across all meeting participants during and after the meeting. As you can see on the example on the screen here, you'll also be able to ask for more specific notes based on giving a prompt. So if you know someone, a particularly named person has said something that you want to make sure is captured, you can ask for that within the Copilot's notes section. So that was a really quick whistle-stop tour of some of the features that we've discussed over the past year. I know that a lot of you have already seen some of these. It's just a reminder to, now that Copilot is widely available, some of those features that you may be thinking of implementing in your business if you are going to go for that extra Copilot licensing. Again, none of these are going to be available as part of standard Microsoft 365 licensing. Copilot is an add-on, but it's just worth knowing about if you think that these features could make an impact in your organization. Okay, so that was the quick whistle-stop tour of Copilot. We're going to go back to the sort of more normal features now that are included within Microsoft 365 generally. So this is a quick update that is affecting offline mode in OneDrive. So soon a new feature called offline mode will be enabled for OneDrive. This feature will allow you to continue working with the OneDrive web app in your browser or on Microsoft Teams when you're offline. It will allow you to view, rename, move and copy your files, as well as create new folders when you're offline. You will also be able to open your files that are available offline on your device from inside OneDrive on the web, and you'll also be able to resolve conflicts once you're back online if there are any. So for example, whilst offline, if you've amended the name of a document, if you've moved it somewhere else, those conflicts will be resolved as soon as your connection is back and everything will be moved around based on the changes that you made whilst you were offline. When this feature is enabled for users in your organisation and you visit OneDrive on the web, offline mode will be set up for the first time. The icon in the screenshot at the bottom of the page that I've pointed the arrow to will be there indicating that offline mode is there and available for you to use. A secure local web server on your device will handle the operations that you perform on your files in OneDrive on the web, such as viewing, sorting, renaming, moving, etc. And all of these actions will continue to work even when you're offline, lose internet connection, or run into a service disruption. So really useful to know if you are often using OneDrive on the web or OneDrive within Teams and you're worried about losing any changes that you make due to internet trouble. This new offline mode will be enabled, and that will just be a bit of a lifesaver in terms of bringing everything back up to date, getting everything back in sync once your connection is restored. This update is due anytime now, really. So from mid-February to mid-April, you'll start noticing it appearing anytime soon. As you can see on the screenshot at the top, it's not available in our OneDrive yet, so it will just gradually roll out, and you will see that new logo to the left of the bottom screenshot that tells you it's there. Next up, we got a nice simple update, a new Teams feature which enables you to forward chat messages. So you'll soon be able to share a message with another colleague by right-clicking the message and selecting forward, or by clicking these the three dots menu on the message and then selecting forward from the drop-down menu there. You can also add additional context to the message to provide greater clarity for the recipient. So for example, if you're forwarding something around a project plan, you can just make sure that the person you're forwarding it to is aware of the background of that message as well. Messages can be forwarded to one-to-one chats and group chats. So yeah, just a nice simple update. If you need to share a wordy message and you don't want to just copy paste the content, you can forward it to let people know where it's come from originally, who originally wrote it, and everyone will then be up to date with that information contained in that chat. Next up, we have an update to tags in Teams. So this is an update that will mean users will be able to use tags, so the @mention, to mention groups of people in both shared and private channels in Microsoft Teams. I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to talk through tags a little bit more in general, as they can be a really useful tool when you're trying to collaborate in Teams, and it's not something that we've spent a huge amount of time on recently. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a refresher over how tags work and where you can use them. Tags let you quickly reach a group of people all at once, basically. So with tags, you can categorize people based on attributes such as role, project, skills, training, location. Basically, you can use whatever categorization, tongue twister, whichever categorization makes the most sense to you and would be most useful within your team. So in the example on the screen, you can see that the marketing tag will enable you to reach every person who works in marketing, for example, without having to type every single name separately. Once a tag is added, just @mention it in a channel, and everyone who's been assigned that tag will receive a notification. So how do you do this? I put a little screenshot there on the right to show you. To create and manage tags, you find the team that you want to create tags for in your teams list, and then select more options using the three dots on the right of the team name. Then you'll see that a manage tags option will appear in the drop-down menu. Here you can create tags and assign them to your team. So again, you can use this for any kind of categorization that works for you, whether that's you want to separate certain roles within your team, certain people working on a particular client project, anything really, just any group of names, and give them a tag name that makes most sense to you. So once you've done that in the Manage Tags section, in a channel conversation, you'll simply be able to type the name that you've given it, and that will create a tag in that conversation, and everyone who you've assigned that tag to will receive a notification. So it's just a really simple way of making sure that you're able to quickly speak to anyone who needs the information that you're dropping in, to make sure that you know they've seen it, and just to make sure that they get a notification so they're not just missing something in a group chat that's scrolling past them quickly. Once they had that notification thanks to the tag, they will absolutely be able to see that message. Some tags are available automatically. For example, if you type @everyone or whatever the team name is, then everyone in that channel conversation will be notified. However, by creating more niche tags using this method, it can be useful just to grab the attention of a smaller group of people without bothering everyone who's not necessarily involved in what the message is about. So, quick overview of how to do tags in Teams. The change is that it will now be available in public and private channels. So just you'll be able to use these tags, use this tagging method wherever you need to, just to help you get the attention of the people you need. Our next update today is the new follow RSVP option in Outlook. So we've all been there. We get loads of meeting invites and you don't always necessarily want to attend all of them. You can't attend all of them because you've got clashes, etc. So up until now, the only options that you've had is essentially yes, no, or tentative, meaning I'll get there if I can. But Microsoft is developing a new RSVP feature called Follow for Outlook. This will be an additional option to the accept, tentative, decline choices when responding to meeting invitations. The follow option is designed for people who are too busy to attend a meeting physically or virtually, but still want to remain engaged and receive information about the meeting. So this isn't released just yet. We've been told it's rolling out during March, so we're not exactly sure what to expect from this update. But what's expected is that it will include details such as a list of attendees, meeting location, and duration. The users may also receive a meeting summary, including action points and information about any follow-up meetings. So meeting attendees can see if anyone is using the follow function, and the meeting organizer will see a pop-up prompt that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here, telling them that people are following the meeting and want to stay informed about what's discussed. So as I said, the follow feature is expected to roll out in March 2024. Initially, it will be available to users on Windows and to Outlook users on Windows desktop and web platforms. We'll let you know about the specifics of what's involved with it when we're able to test it when it does start getting rolled out. But just a heads up that at some point this year, you will be having this new follow RSVP option that just allows you to stay engaged with the meeting without necessarily attending it. Okay. Before we head into the Q&A section, I just wanted to give you a heads up about the next webinar in this series that will take place on the 7th of March. So if you want to join us again on the 7th of March, Cara has just published a joining link and a registration link for that in the announcements. So just put in your information there and you'll automatically receive an invite to join us again in March. Just a quick overview, if any of these features have sounded useful to you, if you perhaps are thinking, I'm one of those people that is investing quite a bit into my IT and I'm not sure I'm getting the most out of it at the moment, we do use those 8 rocks that I explained at the beginning of the webinar to run a bit of a stakeholder workshop. So this stakeholder workshop is designed to get consensus on your business priorities, essentially. It can be conducted face-to-face or virtually, and it gets leaders and investors aligned behind the best way to progress their IT and solve any issues they might be having. So if you're perhaps an IT manager and you need some help from your board level directors, this is a really good way to do that. We're able to come in, help to speak to those people on a non-technical basis, but just talk to them about how they could be achieving better goals for their business strategy without by investing more or changing the way they invest into their IT. So if that sounds of interest to you, please do reach out and we'll be able to talk you through the process of getting one of those booked in. Okay, we've got a little bit of time for some Q&A. I've seen one come in already, so if anyone's got any questions based on anything they've seen today or anything they perhaps like to see in the future, please do feel free to drop those into the Q&A box now, and I will have a look through them. So is the forward message feature in Teams available in Classic as well as the new Teams? I have done a quick comparison. It's not available for me at the moment in Teams Classic. I'm not sure at the moment if there are plans to bring it into Teams Classic, or if it's just one of the features that will be new Teams only. But if that's something that you're thinking you want to start using, then probably you would need to start using the new Teams rather than the classic version, just because I haven't seen it's available at the moment. So yeah, that's a quick answer to that one, Neil. If anything changes on that, I will let you know. Thanks, Ben. Good to see you again for another webinar. Wow, we've got through the questions pretty quick today. If you do think of anything else that you would like us to answer, perhaps you look at the recording later and you think of other questions, please do feel free to drop those into an email and just respond directly to the email that you'll get with the recording later today, and we'll be able to take a look at those for you. Is Copilot available with to people with business premium licenses? So I will have to double check all of the exact licensing requirements for you. There is a big list of people. They have expanded out the list of people that are able to get hold of Copilot now, not only from a business size perspective, but also from a licensing perspective. So we'll double check that for you and get back to you with more information about the licensing for that. Do tags, sorry, let me have a quick read. There's a question about tags here. So if someone's asking, are tags, do tags make that message anonymous or private just to those tagged people, or does everyone see it? So the way that tags work is that you will drop that message into a channel and everybody within that channel will be able to see that message. Same as a normal chat message. The difference that tags make for you is that tags will notify the tagged people to make sure they're reading that message. So everyone within that channel will be able to read the message. It will be there, it will be visible for everyone, but only the tagged people will be notified to read it. So I hope that makes sense. You're not making it private to the tagged entity. You are just making sure that they receive a notification about it and hopefully making sure that they're able to read it. There's a couple more questions around Copilot licensing that I think I'm going to have to follow up separately, just because it is quite a niche that we need to get to. Happy to do that with you separately. And yeah, there's most of the questions we have today are based on Copilot. I'm happy to follow those up with you separately, just because they are more niche around the licensing requirements, etc. But again, if you do think of any other questions that you would like us to answer, if you would like one of our more technical architects to come on and talk you through one of these solutions, happy to do that with you as well. We can set those calls up if you just pop an email to the follow-up recording that we're sending out later today, and we are happy to share all of that information. Okay, I think that's everything I'm able to cover in the Q&A today. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Really good to see so many of you back again. And I hope to see you all again at the next webinar in March. We'll be sending out the recording later today, the fact sheet later today, and please do feel free, as always, if you've got any questions in between times, just pop us an email and we'll be happy to help as much as we can. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.